What is going on, everybody, and welcome back to another riveting, fun-filled, politically charged episode of The Final Word here with MattyB on the It's a Wrap Sports Network on November the 5th, 2024, Election Night Eve. Election night is upon us, and we are here to talk sports, not politics, so we're not going to waste our time with that. But I hope, I wish, and I pray, and I want to know that everybody did what they were supposed to do today, and you saw fit to go out there and exercise your right to vote, no matter what side of the aisle or what side of the positions that you come out on. I hope you went out there and had your voice heard. I did, so just so you know that. I don't know, that's really not part of this, but again, it's an important process of the American system is to vote. So I hope you guys went out and voted. But tonight we got sports talk, as we do every night on the program. A lot of stuff to get into. Well, maybe not a lot, but some pertinent stuff. We got the Flyers back in action tonight down there in Raleigh, North Carolina, and it did not go well, as a lot of people kind of thought it wasn't going to go well. The Flyers outgunned from the onset of this game. Had a brief lead in it, but then some shoddy defense and some questionable goaltending from Kovalsov led the Hurricanes back in this game. But the Flyers, they climbed back in it, but then they couldn't kind of hold it down the stretch as they fell tonight 6-4 in North Carolina to the Hurricanes. We're going to talk a little bit about, because we got this day in Philadelphia sports history. NFL trade deadline has come and gone here with the Philadelphia Eagles, and nothing to report with the Eagles. Howie Roseman standing pat, no trades. What is that an indication of? Is it an indication of Howie's unwillingness to part with a very dwindling crop of 2025 draft picks? Is it an indication that the team actually likes its people right now as they are rounding into form? Or is it an indication of all of the above? And it's interesting because we didn't even go out after the Linville Josephs of the world. Now, there is a chance that the Eagles could still sign some street players or sign some cut players here, but there is going to be no Myles Garrett, and there's no Crosby. None of that's happening for the Eagles this year as that has come and passed with no moves on the trade front. So into the NFL trade deadline, kind of recap it all, because there were some major moves made throughout this whole process. So we'll get into some of that. We're going to talk my card review and speak again about the NBA, because the NBA levied its punishment down on Joel Embiid for his attack on Marcus. Bit about that on the program tonight. And let's get it rolling and rocking here. We, of course, are brought to you by the great folks here at the It's a Wrap Sports Network. And please like and subscribe on all of our platforms, as we are a growing network who needs your help and support drastically and desperately, very desperately. So please like and support the It's a Wrap Sports Network and all the great shows that we have here on the network. So let's jump into this on your day in Philadelphia sports. It is an Eagle tidbit of news. It's right. And I remember this. Boy, was this a tumultuous time in the Eagles' history. This period, not just necessarily this day, but this period back in 2005, Terrell Owens, after his very controversial ESPN interview by saying that the Eagles would be undefeated if they had Brett Favre as their quarterback, not Donovan McNabb, and the sit-ups in the driveway and all that other nonsense. Well, he was suspended on this day back in 2005 by the Eagles for 4 games for conduct detrimental to the team, which then, of course, led to his deactivation after the 4-game suspension, thus inactivating him for the entire season, so that not only the Eagles couldn't have at him, but nobody else could have at him. So Terrell Owens' career essentially as an Eagle ended on this day back in 2005. And what could have been for this guy in Philadelphia. He was definitely the missing piece as we rode him to Super Bowl 39. And what could have been if we could have just made that work? Who knows where the Eagles might have landed after all that. But Terrell Owens ended his career as an Eagle on this day back in 2005. And then, what was it, in 2006? He signed with the Cowboys. And that was odd. That was fun. Welcoming him back to Lincoln on that Monday night game in 06. That was good fun to watch. But yeah, Terrell Owens, I guess, public enemy number one in Philadelphia on this day in 05, as he was suspended for 4 games for conduct detrimental to the team, based off of his comments on ESPN and other comments that he had made, and allegedly dividing up that locker room to his cause. So, yeah, Terrell Owens, man, remember it like it was yesterday. I actually do remember like it was yesterday, because it seems like it was yesterday. But yeah, there you go. There's your day in Philadelphia sports history. The Terrell Owens Day. His last day as an Eagle. Or his last, I guess, his last day as an active Eagle. Hopefully you tuned into the Clear the Ice program, the Flyers post-game show here on the network. You heard our boy Sal G kind of reporting on the game that, the Flyers went up there in Carolina, and the moral victory crowd and the little engine that could crowd out there is probably very excited about the Flyer effort. And it wasn't without its merits. I'll give it that. The Flyers were outgunned, outmanned, outperformed, out-talented, all the 9 yards, but they still made a game out of this. The one thing you cannot say about the Philadelphia Flyers is a team that they don't quit. They really don't. They are giving 155% of what they have as hockey players on a nightly basis. They just don't have enough. And it's a common thread. It's something we've said on the show, and this year and years past, they just don't have enough, and they're not where they need to be a serious cup contender. There were some concerns heading into this season, and I had them. I said, listen, it was a great story last year. It really was. But now you're factoring the goaltending situation, and you didn't go out and you didn't address any of the offensive needs on this team. You did it. You addressed maybe some offensive needs for the future in Matvei Michkov and Jet Lachenko, but you didn't address any offensive issues or needs for the current team. It's not about today, and it never was about today. Danny B warned everybody about what the offseason was going to be like, what the free agency period was going to be like last summer. It was going to be a lot like it was the year prior, and it's going to be a lot like that next year too. But the Flyers now, I guess their true colors, if you will, are showing a little bit more this season, as they just don't have the horses in the barn. They cannot go toe-to-toe with a Carolina Hurricane type squad in the National Hockey League. They don't have the firepower. They don't have the offense. And then you factor in the goaltending situation, which Kovasov did not play too badly tonight, victimized by some bad defense. And one particular defender that I'm going to, once again, jump on the back and ride around like a prize pony, and one Travis Sanheim, because I definitely want to point out a few things about Sanheim. One egregious, basically with my whole issue with Sanheim, I'm going to show you a clip from tonight's game that sums up my entire issue about Sanheim and about a couple of other players that are rising on my depth chart of players that I just don't want to see here anymore. And I just think we've seen enough of certain players to know they're just not good enough. And maybe let me rephrase that. They may be good enough as third line or fourth line guys, but we got them playing up on the second line. We got them up there on the first line, and that's just not what they are. And that's because we don't have any other talent. So we're going to get into that clip here momentarily, because I definitely want to point it out, because it really encapsulates sort of my frustration about this hockey team and about some of the fundamental mistakes that they're still making egregiously this season, and all last season too. But the Flyers fell tonight 6-4 in a back and forth game where they were up. Power play goal, their 9th power play goal of the season. That's, again, positive things to see. But that didn't last long, as I guess we should break right into it. Let's bring up the clip. Here we are. This is going to be a clip of the Carolina Hurricanes' first goal, the Jackson Blake Jack Drury goal, right? This was the amazing pass by Drury in the corner to find Blake out in front of the net, between his feet, behind his back, not even looking, just kind of threw it right between his feet and hit Blake's stick right there on the tape, and Blake buried it. It was an amazing play from the offensive standpoint, but it was even a more amazing play from the friggin' defensive standpoint. And I want to roll it, and I want to talk about it, because, as I said, if there's a play out there that has me so pissed off about what this team is, it's this play. So let's set it up. So here's the goal as it begins to transform. Carolina has the puck down here in the corner. The Flyers are not necessarily in the best defensive position. They're scrambling, but they're not in the worst defensive position. I want you to keep an eye on Sanheim right here because he's part of this nonsense. But we're gonna run it here slowly, and we're gonna let it come back to the point. And this is where now this is again where it's going to set up again. I want you to look at the configuration defensively for the Flyers in front of the net. What do you see wrong with what's happening? I see two things, both, of course, by Flyers players. Let's talk Travis Sanheim first. Now, Sanheim is the large individual standing directly in front of his goalie. And look what his goalie is doing. His goalie is trying to see over the screen that Travis Sanheim is setting on himself. Travis Sanheim is in a position screening his goalie. He's not being forced into that position. He's not being bodied up into that position. He is just taking a really bad spot in front of the goalie, his own goalie, by the way, and preventing Kovalchov. As you can see him, he's trying to look around Travis Sanheim. You can see him kind of standing straight up. You don't ever want to do that. I don't know what goal that is to stand straight up. So he's obviously not in a save posture. He's in a get out of my way, you big oaf, I can't see around you posture. Now, the other player here to pay attention to is number 86, Joel Farabee. Joel Farabee, who is a winger. Now, again, this is a transitional play. The Flyers got, I don't remember if it was a turnover. It might have been a turnover. Anyway, but Farabee is way out of position here. He's not supposed to even be in this position defensively for the team. He is supposed to be up at the wing or up front of the blue line because that's where wingers play defensively. But for whatever reason, he's caught down low. So now he's got to scramble back to try to play some defense. Now he's doing it all the wrong way. His back is turned to the puck. He's looking around. Now, to his credit, he had enough foresight there to kind of try to get back in that position. Take a look at this shot right here. As you can see, Farabee is looking around. He sees, there's a guy all alone in front of Kovalchov. Sanheim's got his guy, but there's a guy standing all alone. They're leaving me out to dry. There's no other defensive help. I got to go down there, and I got to cover him. So he's going to, again, I guess, do the most expeditious thing and turn. And again, you never turn your body to the puck. I don't get that. I get it, but I get Joel Farabee's not a defenseman. But in hockey, in the team sport of hockey, everybody's a defenseman. Everybody plays defense. It's part of your game. And there's some offensive players that don't like to play defense, and they don't do it well. Well, Joel Farabee is not a good offensive player either. So I don't know what time. Again, Travis Sanheim is the venom here, but Joel Farabee is quickly rising up my depth chart of players that I've just seen enough in orange and black, and it's time to move on from. But so he's caught out of position. His back is to the puck. He's not bodied up, and he's trying to beat feet back into position, at least to cover the guy standing in front of the net. Now, the play at the point here is not going to be a shot because this is a set play. This is a set play all the way. This is actually a one of the very more common offensive plays in hockey when you're at the point and you have traffic in front of the net. You have two options here. Actually, he's got three. But he's got two options that are really right in front of his face. One, maybe try a quick pass down low to try to catch that guy that's standing right here, which is actually, I believe, is the goal scorer. He turns out to be the goal scorer. Or you could try to put it on net, hope for a rebound. Or the higher percentage play is shoot it around the net. Shoot it, get a carom that it comes out the other side so that that player can pick it up and potentially facilitate some more offense here. So what they decide to do here is the latter. They throw it around. It's not a shot on net. It's a wraparound play around the boards. Now I want to stop it right here. Okay. So defensively, what do you see wrong with what the Flyers are doing? Travis Sanheim and Joel Farabee are both now concentrated solely on the puck, and they're attacking the puck. Neither one of them have lost complete control over. I'm sorry, this would be the goal scorer. Travis Sanheim skates away from the goal scorer. Now, you can see his head turned to the right. So he sees Joel Farabee also attempting to potentially play this puck. Why is Travis Sanheim playing the puck? Why, when there's nobody else in the immediate area of this play, Travis Sanheim going to just complete man and go after the puck? I don't understand. For a player that is responsible for a $6 million cap hit yearly to this team, the amount of money he's being paid to play defense. Yes, he's an offensive defenseman, and he doesn't score any goals anyway, or he scores them really sporadically anyway. For the total lack of fundamental defensive awareness that this guy shows on a night-to-night basis, because this is not the first time that I've highlighted a Travis Sanheim blunder, and I'm sure it's not going to be the last time. But to have such a blind disregard for your position, he's looking at Farabee, he sees what Farabee's doing, but yet he's still intent, Travis Sanheim is, to play the puck. And then he does cardinal rule number 2. When you're a young man or woman and you decide you want to play organized ice hockey and you start your journey through the system of ice hockey, I would imagine probably at the mite level or maybe even the squirt, that probably the squirt level. One of the things that coaches are going to tell you is never chase a player or a puck or a player-puck situation around the net. If a player has the puck behind the net, why do you care about that? What is he or she going to do with that puck from behind the net? Stay in front. Stay in front for the next potential play. Stay in front for the next potential offensive setup. You going around the net for whatever reason is absolutely useless. You're pulling yourself out of the play. You're opening up an area, which Travis Sanheim does extremely blatantly. And you're creating another offensive situation. Now, Sanheim, for some odd reason, decides that he thinks maybe he could beat the puck around the net, but he's going to commit to it, and then here we go. Look at this. Not only, I mean, look at what you're seeing here. How frustrating is this? Why would you do this? I don't get it. He's a top-line defender for this hockey team. And he decides to go full bear, and not only that, he brings his buddy Joel Farabee with him on the other side, so both of them are playing the puck behind the net, so they're both pulled out of the play. And the goal scorer, what's his name? Number 53 there, is standing wide open on the doorstep, saying hello to Alexei Kovasov, saying, how you doing? How's your night been? I'm about to score on you because I could score in this particular situation. I could get the puck and score on this particular situation. Now, Drury's going to complete an amazing pass. So, yeah, I guess you had that working for you, that the percentage of this pass being on the tape might have been a little low. But fundamentally, this makes me cry. Fundamentally, this makes me cringe to watch this hockey team be this undisciplined defensively, where they just willingly leave a guy standing all alone on the doorstep, hanging their young goalie out to dry. And we'll roll it again. As you can see, this play is just frustrating. So not only is now Travis Sanheim to completely chasing the puck around the net. So now you have two defenders on the same side of the ice. The guy is still alone. I think that's Michkov trying to get back into the play. But, he's way out of position. This is not his fault. And then Drury's going to execute this amazing between the leg pass and then, Yahtzee, so to speak, right? Just a very frustrating goal to watch if you're a Flyer fan. And the frustrations that I have for Travis Sanheim are well known and well documented. And we're stuck with him through 2030 on that contract he signed, that 8-year deal. $6 million AAV, by the way. You want to know why we can't get better? You want to know why we can't go out into free agency and get better? It's because we have a player like Travis Sanheim who brings nothing to the table, who brings absolutely nothing defensively and minimal offense to the table. And we're paying him $6 million a year over the next 6 years to do it. So if that's why we're so strapped right now, and that's why we're stuck in purgatory trying to battle our way out. Because of, and again, this is not a Danny B contract. This is a Fletcher contract. Fletcher gave out pretty much just about every contract Fletcher gave has not worked out for the Flyers. If to be bluntly honest, right? But and then Joel Farabee, who I believe has an AAV of $5 million, a contract he signed with Chuck Fletcher. So there you had $11 million annually on display. $11 million in Flyers salary on display, looking like a bunch of idiots who don't know how to play defense at the National Hockey League level. And that led to the Carolina Hurricane first goal. And then, of course, it just kind of went down the hill for the Flyers from there. So the Flyers losers tonight, 6-4. Now 4-9 and what are they now? 4-8-1 on the season. Woefully outshot on the night. What was this? Was it 35-16 or something like that? Yeah, 35-16. The Flyers now for the season are now being outshot per game 30-25. So they're giving up 30 shots a game, and they're only registering 25 of their own. Other frustrating moments of this game was, once again, this team's inability to, once they do get offensive pressure, to actually hit the net. Maybe that's what I need to start tracking. Maybe I need to start tracking the missed shots. And maybe that, I don't know. Maybe that makes me feel better that there actually are generating offense. It's just they're not finishing. And maybe that's just something I should hang my hat on. I don't know, but it's just very frustrating to watch. And I know a lot of Flyers fans are starting to feel that because the momentum of last season, nothing has seemed to have been seized upon that momentum. And now we seem to be kind of sinking down to the depths of where we belong. And that's a bottom third team in this league. And what the silver lining of all that is, of course, with the multiple first round draft picks and second round drafts that we have coming up, perhaps maybe you can move some of those players. Maybe you can use some of that capital for some players, man. Maybe that's something they need to do and think about. Moving some of that first round draft capital for some impact players today. I don't know, because I don't know how many more seasons I can do like this. I don't know how many more seasons of just frustrating hockey that I can sit here and watch. The Flyers made a move. They traded Ronnie Attard, who interesting move here. They decided to kind of give up on him, send him to the Oilers for another journeyman AHLer named Ben Gleason. Gleason's going to be a filler player. He's left-handed defenseman. He's probably going to spend the majority of his time with the Phantoms, but he'll be there for call-up purposes. And he's a depth piece and defensively for the team. So we'll actually end up talking about Gleason probably a little bit later on in future shows when we do our Flyer prospect thing. But yeah, just another frustrating night for the Flyers. Ryan Poehling put on the IL today as well. So the Flyers currently have $9.75 million of their contract, their salary cap sitting on the IL right now, joined by the $11 million of contract money that couldn't figure out that they shouldn't both go behind the net and leave people alone out front and both be on the same side of the ice. $11 million, those two are being paid combined to play defensive hockey like that. Simply amazing, if you ask me. And that is, again, I guess that's like frustrating point number one for the Flyers. It's not that they're being outscored or outshot. It's just that those mental breakdowns, that those undisciplined moments in games that cost this team. It seems seemingly on a night-to-night basis. You're never going to play a perfect hockey game. I understand that. You're never going to play, or you might play 1 out of 82 or 2 out of 82. You're never going to play perfectly every night. But you got to be better than that. That is like youth hockey bad. And it's frustrating. It's very, Very frustrating. And the Flyers lose tonight 6-4, deservingly so, I say. As again, Kovalsov, I think, played pretty well for his defense. You know, the Flyers gave up 35 shots. So he was taking a lot of beating back there. And again, playing defense like that, goals. So next up now for the Flyers is the Tampa Bay Lightning. So ain't going to get any easier. Question now is, does Kovalsov get to start here in a couple of nights? They have a night off, or do they go with Fedotov? To be honest with you, I don't care. Don't really care who they put in there. I think the inevitability is pretty much set in stone. This team will lose. I guess you got to look at it as an opportunity for these guys to get some reps. I say go with Kovalsov. Why not? He's probably trending as being more of a future with the Flyers than Fedotov does. So go with Kovalsov in this game, and let the cards fly. Flyers lose 6-4. So yeah, I don't know. I just don't know what to say about this team anymore. I understand. Like, there's a lot of people out there that are taking the posture and the stance that, you know, this is unacceptable. They should be better than this. They almost made it to the playoffs last year. What's going on? Why this way? I've never taken that position. I understand what this is, and I've known this from the outset. And I knew that there was going to be a step back this year because, one, the goaltending situation. I mean, that's just right there in front of your face. And I was concerned that we were asking a lot of players to step forward this year. It wasn't like we were asking one guy, two guys, hey, we need you to amp it up. Now, we were asking about 5 guys to kind of be like, all right, we're all going to step out of the shadows at the same time and take that momentous leap in our careers. And it's just too much to ask, and it's not happening at all. They're not getting scoring from anywhere. They're getting very inconsistent scoring. And none of the players that we expected, at least through 13 games, have taken that step. Owen Tippett seems to have taken a step backwards. Joel Farabee has seemed to have fallen off the earth. Morgan Frost, the one thing that he could do with the assists and the passing and the outlet pass and the transitional play has gone away. So now he's got nothing because he wasn't scoring goals before all that. And I was okay with that as long as he was assisting on plays like he was last year. I was okay with that. I resigned myself to say Morgan Frost is not going to be a 40-goal scorer a year. Got it. I'm okay with that as long as he can continue to be the distributor and the facilitator that he was last season. Well, now he's not even doing that. Michkov is a shining star in all this, but he cannot, I repeat, cannot do it alone. He needs help. He needs a supporting cast around him, and he just doesn't have it right now. It goes Michkov, maybe a little bit lower than that is Konechny, and then it goes off a cliff, and then you get the rest of them lower down there. So that's really kind of in a nutshell. And the frustration continues for this team. And I don't blame John Tortorella. I don't. What is John Tortorella supposed to do here? What is he supposed to do? There's not another player hanging out in the broom closet that they can bring in. This is the team. This is what they are. They're not playing. They're not playing lower than their capabilities. They are playing to their capabilities. That's the problem. And they just don't have enough. So I don't blame the coach here. I don't blame Tortorella at all, actually. What do you expect this guy to do? The front office needs to step up, or they need to. We just need to let this thing happen, I guess. I don't know. I don't know what the answer is. I don't know going forward how you solve this problem with the Flyers. It ain't going to get solved in 24-25. It ain't going to get solved in 25-26. It might start getting solved in 26-27. But we're not there, and we're not going to be there for a while. And this summer, this coming June, when they crown the next Stanley Cup champion, to make room on the cup for that team's plaque, the 74-75 Flyers are coming off that plaque. So that means, as of this June, there will be no more Flyer representation on Lord Stanley Cup. Let that sink in. The 73-74 team came off when the Panthers won, and now the other one's coming off this summer when the next team who wins. And that team ain't going to be the Flyers. So at the end of this summer, at the end of this season, when we crown our new Stanley Cup champion, the Flyers will no longer have representation on the Stanley Cup. And that is truly, in my opinion, rock bottom for this organization. And there is no end in sight. So hang in there, I guess, is the best thing I can say. So let's transition our stuff, because I know Sal went over some of the scores, so I'm not gonna do that. I'm not gonna go over scores tonight, but I am. Let's transition into the world of football, as the trade deadline in the NFL has come and gone on this Tuesday, and the Philadelphia Eagles stood pat. No moves, nothing, nada, zip, nine, nilch, nothing. And I asked this question again. What is that a sign of? Is it a sign of that they're complacent and that they're happy with what they got? Are they not wanting to try to indoctrinate a new player into the system at this point? Does Howie not want to, be separated from the little bit of draft capital that he does have this year? We've talked about that. Flyers entered the season, or in 25 with, or not the Flyers, the Eagles, with a first, a second, a third, a fourth, and 3/5. That's all of their draft capital right now in 2025. Was Howie not willing to move off of any of that? Potentially. And maybe the prices on some of these players were too steep, but Kyle Quinn said it the best, I guess, last week when he said that if you truly are looking at making a Super Bowl run, that those draft picks, barring a massive setback from this team falling off a cliff, are all going to be in like the 20 range of the draft. So you're looking to potentially move some of that capital for a top 10 player in the league. It's a no-brainer if you're all in for winning a Super Bowl. So what's the story in the NFL, or what's the story with the Eagles, and why no moves, and why did they stay pat today as the trade deadline came and went? So to recap some of the moves that were made throughout this whole pre-trade deadline process. Seattle made a move earlier on by acquiring lineman Roy Robertson Harris from the Jaguars. That was probably the first kind of big move. Then there was the Devontae Adams trade from the Raiders to the Jets. Devontae being reunited with Aaron Rodgers. Then it was the Amari Cooper move, where the Browns sent Cooper to the Bills for a couple fifths and sixths. Then it was the Cam Akers trade from the Texans to the Vikings. That was a move for them to bolster themselves. And then Seattle acquired Ernest Jones from the Titans in exchange for Jerome Baker and a 25th fourth-round pick. And then I guess, would you say this is the biggest one? DeAndre Hopkins being sent from the Titans to the Chiefs. That was a huge trade, I think, in the landscape of this year's NFL. Kansas City wasn't done, as they required Josh Osh from the Patriots for a sixth-round pick. The Ravens then acquired Deontay Johnson from the Carolina Hurricanes to bolster their wide receiver crew. Arizona acquired linebacker Baron Browning from Denver to give them some defensive help. Detroit would go out and get Zadarius Smith from the Browns, which I would have loved to have had him. Cincinnati acquired Khalil Herbert from the Bears. Dallas did acquire a pick. They picked up Carolina's wide receiver Jonathan Mingo. It's pretty much the only bright spot they got going on right now. The Commanders, which at a very interesting trade, Marshawn Lattimore from the Saints. That's a big trade for them. That's huge. That tells me the Commanders believe in themselves, that they're they're buyers at the trade deadline, and they went and picked up a player like that. The Jets traded Mike Williams to Pittsburgh in exchange for a draft pick. The Green Bay's traded edge rusher Preston Smith to the Steelers, which, again, I would have taken him. Los Angeles agreed to trade their cornerback Tre'Davious White and a seventh-round pick to Baltimore for a 2026 sixth-round pick. Houston agreed to trade defensive tackle Khalil Davis to the 49ers, help their interior. And that's sort of your main moves this trade deadline. And as I mentioned, or as you heard, I didn't talk about the Philadelphia Eagles at all. And I wonder how you feel about that. What is the pulse of Eagles Nation when Howie Roseman does not go out and make a move? Now, Howie has always made moves at the trade deadline. He has. They have not been necessarily the good moves. And we talked about this on the Bears Blast last week, too, that I guess in my lifetime, or I should say in my lifetime with Howie, the 2017 move for Jay Ajayi from the Dolphins was probably the best trade deadline move he's made in his time as the Eagles GM, whatever he is, president of football operations. I don't know whatever titles he has. But every other move hasn't really worked out for them. Golden Tate might have been the second best move, and that's not saying much. And there's a few others in there that just never came to fruition. Last year's trade deadline moves were terrible. Has Howie decided not to even do that anymore? Does he not trust himself to make good trades at the trade deadline? Or is it because he doesn't want to give up on any more of that draft capital? Or are they truly happy with what they got? I think it's a story that we need to follow for the remainder of the season. And I think it's a very interesting story. Now, the Eagles could still acquire new talent through either players getting cut or players that are currently not signed right now. So they could still make some moves, but the flashy moves, the moves that a Super Bowl contender who's looking to go over the top, that move's not coming in 2024, as we are now past the trade deadline. So, interesting situation, if you ask me, for the Philadelphia Eagles, and not going for a Crosby or a Myles Garrett in this trade deadline. And there's going to be people that support Howie on this. That's because they're brainwashed fools. But to think that this team is what it's going to take to beat the Detroit Lions, because again, it's what it comes down to, right? It's not about what they do against the Jacksonville Jaguars or the Cleveland Browns or against Dallas this week. It's about going forward into January and playing and beating the teams of the likes of the 49ers and the Lions, and battle-tested teams that have been through this. And then, God forbid, having an opportunity at dethroning the Cleveland Browns, the Cincinnati Chiefs, the Kansas City Chiefs. Is this current Eagles team capable of doing that without any additional support? Can anybody look at this Eagle team right now and say, yes, I think in an NFC Championship scenario or a divisional round scenario, they can beat the Detroit Lions as is? Is anybody really buying that? Because I'm not. So, interesting situation, interesting non-move by your fraud of a GM, and as he stands pat here and not makes any sort of trade at the trade deadline. So, a story that we'll be keeping an eye on for the rest of the season, and the impact of them not going out to make a move. Now, offensively, of course, I was not in support of bringing in the Cooper Kupp rumors and all that. That was a little out there. But defensively, this team could use all the help it can get. They're playing well, but can they sustain that? And is it well enough to beat the Detroit Lions? Is it well enough to make a deep run into the playoffs and potentially have to beat the Kansas City Chiefs on the world's biggest stage? And I say it's not. And I say they're not. And then, of course, you factor in the head coach. So the Eagles, no moves at the trade deadline. And now we'll move forward to what they are. On the NBA side of things, again, one final note about the Marcus Hayes, Joel Embiid drama. The NBA levied a 3-game suspension against Sixers star center today for his conduct in the locker room on Saturday. And there was a couple of things about that story that still bother me. Here's the main point of the story that bothers me, is the repression of the story. You guys know about this, right? That I guess Sixers media people were begging, or I don't know, I don't know the conversation that was had, because this was in front of people. Now, of course, there's no video footage of any of this, right? If you notice that, nobody has a video of it. Does anybody else find that a little weird? It's 2024. Everyone's got a phone. Everyone's got a camera on their phone, and nobody has this footage on video. Well, apparently it was suppressed by the Sixer media people. Now, how it was suppressed, in what way or what shape or what form it was suppressed, was there some threats made that if anybody leaked out this information that their credentials would be pulled and they would no longer have access to the team? Is that, again, I don't know, is that a situation? But to tell me that there's no video of this is ridiculous, because there's video, but somehow they've been repressed and told not to show it or not to air it. So there's no video of this situation, all other than the what we get, I guess, from word of mouth. But that's terrible. And that's another problem in this town when it comes to sports. And that's our sports media people. They don't have the balls to stand up and do their job anymore. It's all about losing their privilege or losing their right to the team. You know what? If I had video of that, it would be on the internet. It would have been on the internet Saturday night. I don't care about that, because this is a story that I could use for my benefit. Yeah, sure, suspend my privileges, revoke my privileges from the team. If that's how you roll, if that's how the Sixers roll and the Flyers roll and the Phillies roll and the Eagles roll, then so be it. But I'm going to tell the story. And our media, our people in the trenches, and this is why I give Marcus Hayes a lot of credit, our media don't have spines or backbones anymore, because they're too busy feeding at the power teat. They don't want to speak negatively about the team or jeopardize their access to the team. So I blame the media too. This video should have been released, and the public has a right to know what happened in that locker room. Now, maybe it will be one day, but it's terrible. It's terrible if there was alleged threats made against certain media members to not release videotape, if they levied their credentials or their access to the team against that. That's terrible. That's third world dictator type stuff. And as we sit here on election night in a country where we're free to elect our representatives at the highest levels of government, to be threatened that I'm going to lose my access to the Sixers if I publish a video, it's very contradicting and very hypocritical. So, Marcus Hayes, again, I applaud you. I applaud everything you did. I think that your use of the mentioning of the brother and of the son, I think in the article, I think it was mentioned in the context that Joel Embiid was using motivation from those people. I don't think it was meant or intended to be disrespectful in any way. And I applaud you for taking the stand against the establishment, taking the stand against a prima donna athlete who thinks that he's done something in this town that he needs to be revered from. Because again, it's not the Philadelphia Joel Embiid, it's the Philadelphia Sixers. And what he has done or not done is delivered a championship. So I applaud you, Marcus Hayes. Stand up, fight the fight, fight the good fight, and don't let the masses dictate to you what to do. Don't be a sheep like the rest of them out there. So I continually applaud Marcus Hayes. And please, Marcus, if you're listening, watching, if you get a hold of this, come on my show, because I would love to hear your side of the story. But there you go. There's my rant about the Sixers and their tyrannical leadership that's repressing videotape flowing out of the locker room. So, all right, let's move on to my final segment of the night. No prospect segment of the night tonight. We did one last night. We'll probably do one tomorrow. Do about 2 a week until they become too much when I'm doing one every night, because I have to do, which is coming in January. But right now I'm only dealing with the Flyers prospects. So we already did one last night. We'll wait till tomorrow night to do the other one. But so let's get right to the final segment of the night. You already know what this is going to be, folks. My all-time favorite segment. I love doing this. Roll the music.
Looks a little something like this. Looks a little bit like I can't miss. Hey, this is what you call a bad. What? This is what you call a bad. What? Looks a little something like this. Looks a little bit like I can't miss. Hey, this is what you call a bad. What? This is what you call a bad.
That's right. It is time for MattyB's card review segment here on the Final Word on the It's a Wrap Sports Network. And this is the segment where I take a card from my sports card collection and we sit and we just kind of chew the fat, kick it around, talk about some potential financial value, some intrinsic value, some sentimental value, whatever value that card might have. Maybe discuss the player a little bit and just have some fun. We've been doing it for now about a week and a half, and I've had a great time doing it, and we're going to let the train continue to roll tonight. We're back in baseball. We did baseball last night with Larry Walker. We're going to feature another Hall of Famer tonight on the baseball side. This is from the iconic 1987 top set with that wood paneling border. I said this the last time, I think, when we did the Pete Rose card from that set, that was the set, the only set that I ever did in my life, collected from, start to finish. That was the only set I did it. I did it back in 1987 when it came out. I was, 13 years old, and there was no eBay. I couldn't order stuff on Amazon. I couldn't go online and shop for cards. No, I had to go to the corner store and buy cards out of the box, just like every other red-blooded American kid had to do. Fishing for change in the couch cushions, doing what I had to do. Maybe stealing some stuff around the house, doing what I had to do in order to complete this set. And I did it. The only time I ever did it in my life, because back when I was a kid, unlike today, collecting cards, it didn't mean anything unless you had the whole set, right? They looked at your card value as in sets, not in individual cards. Like today, where it doesn't matter. Nobody cares about collecting whole sets. And if you want the whole set, then you just buy it, because it's so accessible. But back then it wasn't. You had to actually go and buy it by the box or by the card from your local store. And through about a 3-month period in the summer of 87, I was able to complete the entire 87 top set. And it was a very lucrative set when it comes to some players, some future Hall of Famers that were winding up their careers, and then, of course, some players that were in the prime of their careers that would be future Hall of Famers, and then some rookies entering the league that year, which would become some of them Hall of Famers and some of them kind of waiting their turn because of some bad behavior along the line. Again, that was the set that featured the Barry Bonds 87 was his rookie. McGuire, Canseco, they were all rookie cards of that year. So these were potential Hall of Famers that, well, you know what happened. You know the story there. But yet those cards are still lucrative because those players kind of sit in limbo until maybe their situations are handled. But this card that we're going to talk about tonight, that player did not sit in limbo at all. He is in the Hall of Fame, first bout guy when he was elected into the Hall of Fame. And without further ado, let's introduce tonight's card, the 87 Topps Cal Ripken Jr., the Iron Man himself. That's right. This card actually, there's a lot of cool things about this card for me. I know Baltimore has since gone back to these uniforms, with the O bird at the hat on. I remember, I think it was in 88. Matter of fact, it was a year later in 88. Or was it 87? No, it was in 88. It was 88 where they got rid of these uniforms. And they went to the full, the with the actual Oriole bird, on their hat, and they changed their color scheme. They went to more of a darker, I guess they tried to be a little bit more menacing as a franchise with their uniforms in 88. But this is the iconic old school Baltimore Oriole uniforms that I grew up watching and looking at. And of course, this is one of the, if not the greatest shortstops of all time, in Cal Ripken Jr., of course. Again, first time Hall of Famer. And this is one of his nicer cards. Again, the old school, the 87 wood paneling. Just a really cool card. I just, for me, it just looks good. I like looking at it. Look how young he looks, man. I don't remember him being that young. Look how young he looks. But, and this card actually is not his rookie. I believe 83 was his rookie year. So what, you're 4 years into his career. But currently, this card on a reputable site that I use to price cards, if you had this card in a PSA 10, this card is currently worth $90. So as a PSA 10 card and a non-rookie card, third or fourth year in the league, whatever it was for Cal Ripken, to be a $90 card, it's pretty impressive. There was nothing extraordinary about what happened to Cal Ripken this season or in the 87 season. Nothing at all. But it's just a testament to the type of player that he was and the type of reputation that he has. To be a $90 card would really just to be just a random card for him. So again, it just brings back a lot of memories of my youth. And you knew it back then. You knew he was going to be that type of player. So you knew it to try to kind of keep that card in somewhat good condition. And here it is. Here's the card in its physical form. Again, raw. It is a raw card, not graded. But as a PSA 10, when you look at the card and how you grade them, this card, the centering is really good. Edges are sharp. And I am not going to sit here and tell you, because I have a lot of 87 tops that are cut terribly. I mean, cut off, just like slanted really bad. The centering's bad. I must have got a hold of a couple bad boxes that came off the printing press there. Just got cut bad. Just were bad, low quality cards, but this was not one of them. And this is the only one I have from the 87 top set of Cal Ripken. And stark contrast to some cards, like when we get to Robin Yount in 87. I got like 9 of them. I just kept getting them in the packs, and I saved every single one. But this was the only 87. This is the only Cal Ripken that I got that year in all the cards and all the packs that I opened. So the fact that it lasted this long, it's been sitting in plastic for about 35 years, but pretty nice valued looking card. As I said, valued at about $90 right now. And again, it's very subjective, as these cards, it's all about who wants them and what they're willing to pay for them. But here's the 87 Cal Ripken Jr. from Topps, the iconic wood paneling year, where they put the wood paneling on the cards. There's the back here. Again, a pretty clean looking card for me here. Potentially a PSA 10. When we're talking PSA 10s, you're talking gem cards, like perfect cards. I'm not going to say it's that, but it's got the potential of being one. So there you have it. The Cal Ripken 87 Topps card, MattyB's card of the night on our card review segment, brought to you by the It's a Wrap Sports Network. And that is going to take me to the end of another fantabulous episode. And I want to thank everybody for tuning in, chiming in, being part of it, helping us grow, helping us be what we want to be and achieve our goal of what we want to be. And bigger things are coming. All right. We gotta kind of go through our lumps here on the network, but it's great to be back. It's great. Again, this is episode 18, went to the daily format when I left the other network. So it's been working out pretty well up to this point. Sal, who has been a great addition to the network, kind of doing his thing now. So that's great. So we're off and running. Bigger things are coming, and I'm glad to be part of it. And I can't wait to see what the future will bring. But that future will be tomorrow night, because I'll be back for another episode of The Final Word tomorrow night. And potentially we have a new president by this point tomorrow night. So we'll see if we can talk about that or not. If not, it doesn't really matter. We'll find one eventually. But that's going to wrap me up for tonight. Thank you, everybody. Have a great rest of your night and an even better tomorrow. We'll talk again.
I'll be coming up hot for a minute. Everybody know the drop when I'm in it. Drop the top when I'm in it. Everybody know the drop when I'm in it. Yeah, I'm so. Everybody know I'm on. You know when they click through to the send this possibility. So be fine.